Today, we're going to talk about creating test plans with AI. Let's jump into it. Okay, creating test plans with AI is awesome. It's so much easier than trying to create it by hand. I hated writing test plans by hand. But at the same time, there's a lot of ways that you can get it wrong as well. And also, there's some things I found that makes the process easier. So let's jump into it. It's going to be a 3-step process. You're going to gather the data, you're going to analyze the data, and then 3, you're going to generate the test plan. Let's jump into this right now. Just want to say that you want to pay attention to these, especially steps 2, the analyze phase, and 3, the test plan phase, because there's a couple things that junior engineers often get wrong that I'll point out in those. So please pay attention to those sections. And if you haven't already, go down to the description and download the free guide, Top 5 Test Automation Best Practices. Free guide. It's over 25 years worth of my experience, kind of boiled down into 5 easy things that you can just put into play at your company today, in your job right now. So go there and download it. So step 1, gather everything. Make a list of all the resources, everything that you can find, all the links to things. And if they're not links, then create a folder and start copying everything over into this folder, and just everything about this project that you can possibly hope to get, put it in this folder. But the big things that you want are the specs, the PRDs, which is the project requirement docs. Maybe not every company uses a PRD, but the document describing the project, usually put out by the project manager. And that will have the whole point of the project is kind of in this doc. And this doc usually has why they're creating the project, what behaviors they're hoping to happen after the project is done, and hopefully, if it's a good PRD, then it's going to have the use case scenarios, and those use case scenarios always directly translate into test cases. In fact, if you don't see use cases, then I would push back and ask the project manager to include use cases. What are all the use cases for this feature? And that will definitely help your AI to understand the project. It'll help everyone to understand the project better when you have use cases. Very clear examples. That's the very best thing for the AI. Clear examples. And but that's not it. The other things that you want are not only is the official docs, but all the unofficial stuff that goes on around it. Did you have any deep dives and meetings that got recorded? Get those transcripts and add that to this documents folder. Are there conversations in your Messenger doc? Like I use Slack at work all the time. Is there like a conversation there that you can just copy, paste, and pop into this docs folder? Pop it in there. Wireframes. Are there any Figma docs? Are there Miro boards? Are there Jira? Have they started creating a issues list or to-do project or anything? Are there pictures of whiteboarding? Anything, just pop it in here. Anything and everything, pop it into this document. Make sure it just relates to the project. Don't put unrelated stuff in there because that'll just confuse the AI. But everything in there that you think provides value for the AI to understand more. And just throw it into this folder. If there are links to things, create a document that's pointing to all of these links. Now, the thing to worry about at this point is that AI only really understands text. It can understand text, or it can extract text from images, but it's probably not going to understand a binary format like a PDF or a Word document. You're going to have to provide ways of converting that into markdown files. So there is a Microsoft thing called Markitdown MCP. Look it up. Consider using that. I use it all the time for converting documents from any format into markdown formats. And again, I have it converted all those links from that document into Markdown, into that folder. And you know, if you don't have documentation at all, if you're working on a project, you're trying to create a test plan for something that has no documentation, one, I'd argue, why did they want a test plan for something they haven't planned at all? But if they're asking you to do the right thing, even though they haven't, and I don't know, companies are weird. Why they do this stuff, it's just so infuriating. But we know there are situations where you're asked to create a test plan and you have zero documentation. Then you're going to have to use the code itself as the source of truth. You're going to have to point your AI at the code and have it generate documentation from that code in Markdown format, or mermaid diagrams, or also something that are plain text formats of flowcharts and whatnot. Look up mermaid diagrams, not beyond the scope of this video, but they are wonderful for AI to understand the workflows of things. This is also the point where you see all the tools that you should give your AI. I'm not going to cover what MCPs are here, but they are extremely helpful tools for your AI IDE or whatever agent app like Claude Code or Codex, or you got Cursor, Windsurf, all of these things. MCPs help the AI interact with the real world, interact with your documents, your bug database, your agile board, your whatever that you use for your company. So get the tools so it can actually read and understand the documentation from your company. So if you have Confluence, it should have something to read those Confluence docs. You shouldn't have to copy paste everything from Confluence over into your AI. It should be able to search Confluence. It should be able to get Jira tickets. It should be able to do all of this stuff. Again, you are limited by your company. So worst case scenario, you have to do what I said before, is you convert everything over to Markdown and copy it over into this docs folder. I've done that before. It kind of sucks, especially since if it's a Confluence doc, people will update that Confluence and your stuff won't get updated. So be careful about doing this and having stale data. But if you're doing it the way I'm doing it, you're going to be doing it in one shot. And then you might need to iterate over this later. But right now, one shot, make sure you have the tools to actually analyze all the data. So just flipping over to the code really quick. Really is just say this is the project or your test project. You know, I'd make sure to create 2 directories at least in your test, aside from your test code. But this one is going to be like, make a directory for your docs, and you make a directory for, I call it memory, but you can call it anything. You can call it AI, you can call it context, whatever you want to do it, call it. I'm calling it memory. I don't know why, but I have been. So I just keep doing it this exact same way over and over again. Anyway, your docs, they're going to be the human readable documentation. So that's going to be everything that humans want to read. How-to guides, the PRDs, specs. These are just all the human readable documentation, any documentation relevant to your project. Memory, this is AI readable. And so this is where it's going to store memories, handoff documents, its analysis of things, things to keep from chat to chat to chat. It's how AI can help organize itself. And it's not meant to be human readable. It's meant to be something for the AI itself to keep track of everything. And this is where you would also keep those mermaid diagrams for the AI. You would, anything that is AI related, you keep here. And those are usually the 2 directories I usually have in every project I do now. And at that point, I would launch Claude. I'm using Claude, but whatever IDE or app, I'm using the CLI here. I put things into plan mode. And once you've got all those docs, I'd ask it, this isn't the analyze mode yet. We're still gathering information. So once you have all this stuff, I would ask it some prompts like this. Is this enough data in the docs? I don't know why it's not seeing my docs directory in here. docs directory to get a clear picture of this project. That's basically it. You gather everything possible, and then you make sure everything is in a format that Claude can read, and then yeah, just make sure you have a place to put all of that and you don't lose it. So you can always keep coming back to this docs. I like keeping things with my test code because it just helps so much in the future and for anyone else needing to come back to it and for my AI to understand how to write this code. But you can put the document into another directory and, you know, transfer things over later, or just use multiple directories to track everything for your project, however you want to do it. But the important thing is get the data. And a big mistake a junior engineer would make, or someone like me who's not familiar enough with AI has made, is just to go directly to creating the test plan once you have all the data. Nothing wrong with that. You can actually probably get good results. You could probably create a good test plan just from that. I like going a little bit extra mile though, because I've just been on some complex projects where things weren't quite as solid as they should be, and extra time should have been taken to punch holes in things and call it out earlier in the project. So this extra step here is to making sure that not only AI, but you have an understanding, you have a clear picture, and you have everything you need, and that you can actually understand the project you are working on first before you generate that test plan. So just here at Claude, I would ask something like, hey, generate, let's see, generate architectural diagrams of this project, given all of the information. That's one thing you could do. You could also create an overview document of this project. Go through this project and try to find holes in the planning. Holes in, just try to find holes. Where is the project unclear? What is ambiguous? And yeah, so you don't need to do all of this in one prompt like I'm doing right here, but here's an example of, I probably send these as individual prompts while I'm going through all of this. But hey, where is it ambiguous? What doesn't make sense? What more is needed? Try to get the AI to question all the information. After you've got like an overview, whatnot, just try to start questioning, get it to start being a little bit more skeptical of what the project is at all, and have it kind of pick things apart. That's when things get interesting. That's when it sees, oh, you know what? It's not describing this or that, and that'll help you with your test plan. If you have holes in your understanding, you can't create that test plan. So at this point, what's the timeline? How long do we have to test this project? Very important. That does tell you how your test plan is going to go. If you have like a year to test, then you can do a lot. If you have a week to test, you can't do much. What's the timeline? Like if it's next week, you might not be able to get the resources to test. So these are very important questions. When does it start? How long do you have? Who are the key people to contact in this project? It's good to know that. It's good to have in the document, especially if someone else takes this test plan down the road. They will know all the people involved in this and don't have to guess. They can see it right from your test plan. And the really important thing is, where is the code going to live? What will the code look like? And maybe also, like, if there's a UI element and it's not purely the API, are there any like wireframes? Any, I don't know, if you haven't already gathered that I think that might be. You can ask, like, are there more details like wireframes or Figma or anything that we overlooked? And I always overlook that. It's like, oh, there's all this Figma stuff. And the Figma stuff, there's MCPs and tools that live for it that can give you a lot of information for your UI tests. Yeah, it's just a lot of questions like that. As you just get creative and think of questions, be critical, get the AI to be critical. Don't accept whatever the AI does the first time through. Don't accept it. It's trying to make you happy the first time through. You need to tell it to not make you happy. You got to tell it to poke holes in things, to find what's missing, to be critical, to look at things with a critical eye. Sometimes you might even need to start a new session with your Claude or a new chat session with whatever you're using to dig deeper as a critic, as a cynic, as someone who thinks, hey, this project's going to fail. This is a flaming piece of crap. Tell me all the places where this is a flaming piece of crap. And it's not to tear down the project. It's simply just to find where there are holes, because the holes at this point, you don't take them seriously, but you get 2 to 3 months into a project and suddenly those holes become horrible problems that are very tough to solve. The earlier you can find problems and address them, the better. And also for here, this helps your AI find those holes and put them into your test plan. It can probably find those holes better than you, especially if it's a new project you've never worked on before. Yeah, so that's it. Get it to analyze the data. Analyze it until you are happy with the level of analysis for this project, that you feel like, yeah, there's nothing else this AI can find about this project. There's no other documentation. There's no other anything. Everything's there. It's got everything. And then part of the analysis is, do you understand? Can the AI walk you through the code? If it can, awesome. Have it do it. Understand this project. Once you're satisfied with this stage, time to move on to test plan. Okay, everyone, this is the meat and potatoes of it. Generating the test plan. But wait, we're not gonna dive into this. Now we're getting into, what is this test plan going to look like? You can tell Claude to just generate a test plan. It'll shit out something for sure. But you gotta give it some examples. So what I would do is first see if your company has test plan templates that it requires. If your company requires things to be in a certain format, for whatever idiotic reason that corporations have these formats, you got to follow it. So what I would do is actually say, research test plans. Go on the net and look up reliable sources for test plans. Go on the next. Go on to the net. Go on to the interwebs. And sometimes you could have, I don't know, sometimes I flip over to create a test plan skill. So if you're not familiar with skills already, hopefully I'll link up here. Can't go into it in too much detail, but a skill is just something kind of like a prompt like this, but a more specialized type of prompt that Claude would use in the background. So a skill could be like test planning. So whenever you mention the word test plan in a prompt, it'll look at the skill. You don't have to actually invoke it like you would like with a forward slash. You can do a forward slash, like, hey, forward slash, I don't know, make, I don't know. I don't even know what skills I have here. But anyway, forward slash, like, test. Yeah, like here, testing Python libraries is an example of a skill that's in here. The truth is, everyone acts like this test plan is going to be really important. Your boss will be like, oh, you need it. And I feel it's not that important. I don't think a lot of companies, people don't even read the test plan. If they do, they've only read it once and they'll forget about it instantly, and the code will change the next day anyways. So all the assumptions you made in your test plan are probably be gone anyway. So I personally am not going to spend a shit ton of effort generating a giant novel of everything I'm going to do. That's not necessary. You want to kind of whittle it down to one to 2 pages. 1 page is my preference, but sometimes you need to, depending on how dense the project is or how complex the project is. Use as many pages as necessary, but definitely when you're going through at the end of all of this, refine it down, edit out as much as possible. Get rid of the cruft. If you need all like the horrible details, you might even need to shoot off a different document, like test specifications document. Yeah, just something else that can drill down even further into all of this stuff. So if somebody wants to read all that, they can. But you're going to be dealing with an audience of managers, upper management, project managers, people that you don't know their skill level. They might have extreme skill level, all the way down to they know the project really well, but they don't know code, but they know exactly what needs to be delivered. And so, yeah, you have a lot of specialties for the audience of this document. People read a lot. There's a lot of stuff out there. Keep it simple and keep it focused on those people. So don't go too much into the code, because you're going to lose the project managers, but don't go too much, but make sure you do mention the technical details so the devs know that you're actually going to test the right thing. And this will become clear as you do it. I'm just saying, keep it simple and know your audience for these documents. Because most likely people are going to read this once, maybe, or they're going to have you read it to them during a meeting as you go over it, most likely. And they're never going to look at it again. Your boss may refer to it months down the road. It's just going to be a checklist that you put on your review. Like, look at this test plan I made. As a junior engineer, I didn't know to do this. But right now, I'm doing it with my test plans now. I call out what I am not going to test. What is out of scope of testing? This is important because 3 months down the road, there'll be someone, why didn't you test this? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do load testing? Why didn't you do perform? Why didn't you test with 50 variations of these devices? And you got to go back to the test plan. And the test plan, you said, we all agreed on it. Mr. Angry Project Manager, guess what? You signed off on this test plan 6 months ago. I clearly called out, this is what I'm not testing. So, yeah, it was in the test plan that this was not going to be covered. You covered your ass. They're not going to like it, but it's very important to know what you're not going to do, because it's very easy to be pulled into a million directions and you want to be focused. So this test plan is about getting you onto the right page with yourself, what your resources are, and the reality of what you can test. So yeah, it's something as a junior engineer I forgot to add into these things, because what you're not going to do is just as important as what you are going to do. So yeah, that what you're not going to do really shines a light on what you will deliver. So you tell them what you're going to deliver and what you're not going to deliver. I'm iterating this over and over again because it's important. So I think enough. I'm going to stop kicking that dead horse and move on here. So yeah, so that covers what will be tested, what will not be tested, and then get into how it's going to be tested. That's something you need to bring up to the devs. They could provide an API or a shortcut of some sort to make testing easier. So when you're going through this test plan, look at the complexity of what you're trying to deliver and see if there are any shortcuts that the devs can help you out with, or if they can't, how is that going to impact your testing? How will you test it? So how it will be tested is very important, and that helps anyone reviewing this test plan say, oh, you're going to do it that way? What about this other way? And it can help you with something you didn't think about on how to test this. So very important. So I'll repeat it again, what will be tested, what will not be tested, and how it will be tested. And the other core thing is I always include in this doc. At the very top, I put the resources. And it's basically all those resources we're talking about in the first part, like what we gathered, a lot of those will be included in this. And that'll be links to the specs, where the code lives, where the tests are going to live, and who to contact, what aliases or what message boards or messenger channels, where on Confluence to look, where on Jira to look, just these things. Where is the code, a link to the repository. This stuff helps anyone else who is trying to get up to speed on, or if they're taking over this test plan from you or this stuff, just to know the lay of the land. And it helps the AI. Once you've created this test plan, the AI can look at this test plan and go, oh, okay, cool. So if the AI has this test plan, it helps as well. Then under the resources, I'd put the quick overview, and then after the overview, overview is just like 2 to 3 sentences of like, oh, here's the project and the basic feature, and this document is going to cover the testing, blah blah blah. So something very quick, and then just to give some context on what the feature is that you're testing, and then you go into that what will be tested, what will not be tested, and the risks. The other important things to have in there would be the timelines for testing. When will test complete be declared? What does that mean? Because it might be some good things to have during this meeting to say, how do we know we can ship it? And when am I done testing? When is it too late to test anymore and find any more bugs? And also remember, end of testing doesn't mean the end of development, because if you find a bug, they need time to fix it. And then you need to then verify the fix. So there needs to be time beyond testing to fix bugs as well. That should be called out in your doc that, hey, don't go all the way up to the last minute with this, because that's not going to be possible to fix things. And finally, here's a part of the document that I don't like including in the document. I usually will include it as a separate document, but these are the actual test cases. And I think these are probably, for me, the least valuable, but for the team, probably the most valuable. And I would keep the most highest priority test cases at the top of this document, because you're probably never going to have enough time to go through all the test cases. So I would definitely include like the top core test cases that you say are, if these tests don't pass, we can't ship. I think those are the core test cases to include. Going into all the weeds of all the different like edge cases you're going to do, probably not necessary. I don't think that's interesting to an entire group. I think having a separate doc with all those edge cases and everything, that's better. But for this one, the core things that you need to verify in order to ship it. Like everything else can go to hell, but if any of these core test cases fail, you can't ship. So I like to include that in the document, but the full giant thing of test cases, I love a separate document for that. Usually that is more of a living document than the test plan for me. So with all of that said, everything I'm saying is stuff that you would feed into here. You would have, you then, you get in there, you tell Claude, hey, create the test plan, because you got the skills, you know all the things. You said, hey, keep it short, keep it a couple pages long, let's say we're not going to be testing this and this and that, whatever. All of these questions and everything I just went over help you have a back and forth, because the first draft that Claude is going to put out is not what you're going to be sharing with your team. Do not do that. You will now need to question the hell out of this test plan. This test plan is just the first horrible draft created by an alien consciousness. So you need to get it back on track with reality quickly. So you need to review this with your human eyes. But a cool thing you can do with Claude, and let me switch over here. This is something I've been doing with every bit of planning I've been doing is, I like calling it the angel versus devil, because I always imagine an angel on one shoulder and a devil on the other, kind of just talking at you. But I see that the AI always calls it the critic and the defender. So I don't know, there's probably an official name or philosophy for this somewhere. But I like calling it the angel versus devil. So an example prompt is that I usually like creating sub-agents for this, and I have 2 sub-agents that then kind of battle with each other or argue with each other until they reach consensus. So I say, create 2 sub-agents, a critic and a defender. The critic is trying to poke holes in the test plan. The critic will analyze where things are unclear or ambiguous, find details that find areas that need more information. The defender will then address these issues with the critic. They will argue back and forth until they reach a consensus. And here's the last part. If they can't reach a consensus, stop and ask me questions. Very important to have them ask you questions. All these AI agents will just generate a test plan and will just do their best with what information they have. They won't ask you these questions. Sometimes they will in planning mode, but not all the time. Sometimes they'll just guess. And that's where you get the hallucinations, incorrect information, or it starts going down the bad path. It's because it didn't know what to do. So it's good to just stop and have it ask you questions, even though this could be a very boring part of the process, because it can take a while for you to go through all these questions, and you might not even know the answers to all these questions. But it's good that the AI itself is highlighting these areas that it doesn't know. And if you don't know the answer, it's a good thing to call out in the test plan. Just leave it open and say, and bring it up with your team, like, hey, I don't understand this. And like really highlight those areas. So finding things that are weird or don't have enough information or clear or are not ambiguous, very important for your test plan, for you and for your team. As I'd argue that's the main point of doing this test plan, is to try to find the big things that prevent it from being tested or from being shipped entirely. So yeah, very helpful. Don't skip that. And of course, after you finish going through all this and have it do a few more drafts, you want it to then like, tell me in the comments here, have you written a test plan that anyone's given a shit about after you've talked about that test plan and had the test plan meeting and sign off? Have you ever revisited that freaking test plan? Tell me, if you are one of those people, whew, you are a rare unicorn. But seriously, yeah, leave a comment and tell me what your experiences are with test plans. Have you used AI to create a test plan? What was your experience with it? Would you refuse to use AI to create a test plan? Let me know in the comments. Tell me your experiences with test plans and your pain points and those test plan review meetings. And if you haven't already, please grab the top 5 test automation best practices. It's a free guide. 5 easy, quick to read, understandable tips from my 25 years of experience as a software test engineer. Probably over 26 years of experience as a software test engineer. Yeah, hopefully those tips and tricks will help you out in your day-to-day. And thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate you watching, especially all the way to the end. You're a crazy individual. Thank you so much for watching, and check out this next video that's coming up. When you take what you learned in this video and pair it with this next video, it really helps you understand things a lot more. It really brings things together. They add to each other. Thank you very much for watching, and happy testing. Take care.